ประจำที่ศูนย์ศึกษาตุรกีของเราด้วยนะครับครับสำหรับการเสวนาของเราในวันนี้นะครับเราได้รับเกียรติจากผู้บรรยายนะครับก็คือเป็นนักวิชาการจากประเทศตุรกีทั้งหมด6ท่านนะครับซึ่งเราจะแบ่งออกเป็น2ช่วงนะครับก็คือช่วงแรกนะครับก็มี3ท่านแล้วช่วงที่2ก็มี3ท่านนะครับผม
Hadi gidiyoruz. Gidiyoruz. İkinci panele katılanlar.
Hocam.
İkinci panele katılanlar.
Beni buraya oturttular.
Siz birinci panel.
Ben ikideyim.
İkidesin.
Yes. Kaldırmıyordum. Siz de gelin.
Hocalar değil.
แกเป็นวิทยากรThank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
Have a seat, please.
Thank you.
So is it your first time in Thailand?
Second.
Second. Oh, nice.
Last year I was here.
Oh, in Pattani too?
Yes. I made it traditional. And the others. You come home.
haber'in yorumlarının yanlış olmasından sonra uluslararası ilişkiler
Evet.
fakülte dolayısıyla okey.
Hayır yok fakülte fen fakülte
Yok,
bölüm adı.
pardon, aynen bölüm.
Bölüm adı International Relations.
Ha, okey.
International Relations.
Yes.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor to welcome all of you to the International Seminar on Turkey. There will be two public seminars for today. The first one is the roles of Turkey in the world today, politics, economics, and security. And the second topic, Turkey and the significant implications for Thailand and Southeast Asia. My name is Pulawat Panyam.
My name is Kwanjara Srinopong.
We would like to extend a warm welcome to you all.
On this occasion, I would like to invite Dr. Montira Lilak Sachs, Vice President for Academic Affairs, to deliver a speech. Welcome.
Mr. Minister, Counselor, Loyal Thai, Embassy in Ankara, Republic of Turkey, distinguished speakers and guests from Turkey, representative from the Southern Border Provinces Administrative Center, PSU fellow and students, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Prince of Songkhla University, it gives me the immense pleasure in welcoming all of you to our university in Pattani campus. I would like to thank the loyal Thai Embassy in Ankara, Turkey, for providing a good opportunity for the Turkish Studies Center, Faculty of Political Science, Prince of Songkhla University, to organize the seminar on Turkey Today Implications for Thailand. I would like to kindly welcome and thank our honorable professors and media representatives from Turkey. I hope that your expertise and experience will enable us as people of the deep south of Thailand to understand the roles of Turkey in contemporary world, and that could also contribute to the development of southern border provinces of Thailand, as well as strengthen good relations between Thailand and Turkey. The Faculty of Political Science, Prince of Songkhla University, was the first academic institution in Thailand to establish the Turkish Studies Center in celebrating the 60th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between Thailand and Turkey last year. The Turkish Studies Center, in cooperation with the Department of European Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Thailand, organized a seminar on Thailand-Turkey relations and the roles of Turkey on the world stage. Following the cooperation, further collaborations between the Faculty of Political Science and the Loyal Thai Embassy in Ankara in support of Turkish Studies Center have been agreed in order to help students and people in Thailand develop better understanding on Turkey. One of them is a seminar on Turkey Today Implications of Thailand, which is organized today as a part of the PSU Open House 2019, in parallel with the other activities of our campus today and tomorrow. The seminar on Turkey Today Implications of Thailand aims firstly to disseminate knowledge of Turkish politics from the expertise to Thai society. Secondly, to create learning space through international public lecture, and thirdly, to establish channels of communication between academic and research experts, policy makers and executive, students, and general audience. I'm so gladly grateful to Kun Chakri Noratip Sevikun, Ministry, Counselor and Deputy Chief of Mission of the Royal Thai Embassy in Ankara for introducing us honorable experts from Turkey. I would also like to thank all professors who will contribute to us deeper understanding of Turkey in the world in the two coming panels. I hope you have an engaging and enriching session ahead. Thank you very much. สวัสดีค่ะ
Thank you. Upon this occasion, may I invite Mr. Chakri Noratip Sevikun, Minister Counselor and Deputy Chief of Mission, Royal Thai Embassy, Ankara, Republic of Turkey, to deliver an opening remarks. Please welcome.
Assistant Professor Dr. Montira Virakeksak, Vice President for Academic Affairs, Prince of Songkran University, Professor Dr. Hussein Bache and the Turkish Academics and Media Delegation, representative from the Southern Border Provinces Administrative Center, ASU fellows and students, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, may I express on behalf of Her Excellency Ambassador Pantipa Imsutai Gorohit, Ambassador of Thailand to Turkey, our delight and honor that the Turkish delegation is visiting the historic Prince of Songkla University Patani campus again this year. Thank you very much for your kind and warm welcome, especially for the kind cooperation and support to the Royal Thai Embassy Ankara, which have ensured that the seminar Turkey in the World Today, Implications for Thailand is taking place today. Thailand and Turkey celebrated the 60th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations in 2018 last year. And as part of the project, the embassy, with the support of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, had initiated a project to invite leading Turkish academics and media to Thailand to explore ways and means to further enhance cooperation and relations. Professor Hussein Baje was part of that delegation last year, and the success of that visit had been the groundwork for the captivating seminar we are about to have this afternoon, where we will learn more about the role of Turkey in the world today in areas of politics, economics, security, as well as the significant implication for Thailand and Southeast Asia. It is undeniable that Turkey, a country with long history and rich culture, has risen once again to play a crucial role not only in the region but also on the global arena. Any discussions on topics such as world politics, world economics, regional security, global fight against terrorism, the future of Syria, and many other topics would be incomplete without mentioning and discussing the role of Turkey. And to truly appreciate the position of Turkey, we need to understand that the Turkish experience and look at the world through the Turkish eyes and minds. We are thus very grateful to have with us this afternoon the leading Turkish academics in their fields of expertise. I know that with their very busy schedule, it was almost impossible to coordinate a convenient time for this visit to happen. So we are truly grateful and honored that you are all able to accept the embassy's invitation and that you're all here with us this afternoon. It is our earnest hope that apart from sharing your experience, expertise, and view with us, the visit will also enable you to learn firsthand about the Thai society, history, culture, and the recent developments in politics and economics of Thailand, which should be valuable information as you help to bridge the gap between the two countries and bring our two people closer together to enhance the bilateral relations and cooperation. The embassy Ankara stands ready to continue working closely with the Prince of Songkla University as well as the Turkish academics on all matters to help further enhance these relations. In ending my remarks, may I express my sincere appreciation once again to the Faculty of Political Science, the Prince of Songkla University. I wish the seminar a fruitful duration and every success. Thank you.
Now I would like to invite Dr. Monchirali Lakrengsak, Vice President of Academic Affairs, Prince of Songkla University, Pajani Campus, to present the token of appreciation to Mr. Chakri Narativ Savikun, Minister, Counselor and Deputy Chef of Mission, Royal Thai Embassy, Ankara.
ครับลำดับถัดไปนะครับเราก็จะเริ่มการเสวนาในช่วงที่1นะครับในเรื่องของบทบาทของตุรกีในเวทีโลกการเมืองเศรษฐกิจและความมั่นคงนะครับ Now we will start the public seminar panel 1 on the roles of Turkey in the world today, politics, economics, and security. May I invite our speakers on the stage. Please give a warm welcome to Professor Dr. Hussein Baju from Middle East Technical University. Professor Dr. Tanju Tursun from Ager University. And Assistant Professor Dr. Merve Seren from Yildirim Beyazıt University. And this part will be moderated by Dr. Hafiz Saleh, Associate Dean for Economic Services, International Affairs, and Networking, Faculty of Political Science, Prince of Songkla University, Patani Campus.
Good afternoon, everybody. And let me bring you to the first panel on Turkey and the world today. ในการเสวนาครั้งนี้นะครับก็เราจะใช้เป็นภาษาอังกฤษนะครับแล้วก็เดี๋ยวช่วงท้ายของแต่ละท่านก็จะมีการสรุปความเป็นภาษาไทยให้นะครับ So today we use mainly English, but at the end of each presentation spend maybe 2 or 3 more minutes to summarize in Thai. And then I would like to give you around 15 minutes for your presentations and 10 minutes for the Q&A for the whole session. That's too far. เดี๋ยวอาจารย์ก่อนอื่นนะครับก็ขออนุญาตแนะนำวิทยากรนะครับเรามีวิทยากร3ท่านนะครับ We have 3 eminent scholars with us today, and as you heard all of their names, but I will repeat it again. The first scholar is Professor Hussein Baju. This is his second time at the Faculty of Political Science. He's a very renowned scholar who has been the teachers of the teachers in international relations in Turkey. And if you go to Turkey, you will see a lot of his student works in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Turkey. ก็มีท่านเป็นอาจารย์ของอาจารย์นะครับ สาขาความสัมพันธ์ระหว่างประเทศในประเทศตุรกีนะฮะก็ข้าราชการกระทรวงต่างประเทศหลายท่านที่ตุรกีก็เป็นลูกศิษย์ของท่านรวมทั้งอาจารย์ในมหาวิทยาลัย so we are very pleasure to have you here today and our second speaker is Professor Dr. Tanju Tosun from Ege University. He's an expert on social democracy and internal Turkish politics. And ท่านที่สองนะครับท่านก็เป็นศาสตราจารย์นะครับมาจากมหาวิทยาลัยเอเกนะครับที่ประเทศตุรกีแล้วก็เป็นผู้เชี่ยวชาญทางด้านการเมืองภายในประเทศตุรกีนะครับเกี่ยวกับเรื่องของประชาธิปไตยนะครับแล้วก็เรื่องการเมืองภายในวันนี้ท่านก็จะนำเสนอเนื้อหาที่ต่อเนื่องจาก Professor Hussein นะครับ Professor Hussein จะพูดเรื่องของภาพรวมของการเมืองตุรกีในระดับระหว่างประเทศนะครับบทบาทของตุรกีในฐานะที่เป็นบางคนบอกว่าเป็นมหาอำนาจนะฮะก็เดี๋ยวเรามาฟังกันนะครับว่าตุรกีมีบทบาทอย่างไรในการเมืองโลกนะครับท่านที่สองจะเป็นการเมืองภายในท่านที่สามก็จะมาในเรื่องที่ลึกขึ้นเป็นเรื่องของความมั่นคงนะครับอุตสาหกรรมอาวุธต่างๆสมรรถนะทางด้านการทหารของตุรกีนะครับ The third speaker we have today is the Assistant Professor Dr. Merve Sirin. She's lecturer at Yildirim Beyazıt University, and we will move from the general topic of Turkey in the world with the specialist on international relations. Then we move to internal Turkish politics, right? And then the last one will be a very specific roles of Turkey in the military strength. So let me pass this stage to Professor Hussein. Have a floor.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here again, my second time, and it's always good for the professors to address to the students, to the audience, from the position where the teacher can see everybody. It's also a great pleasure to have young students, the future of this country, who tries to understand what is going on in the world. So it is an exchange of ideas. It is a learning process for both sides. I learn from you, you learn from me, so we enlighten each other. So to be here has also another meaning. It means that we, two countries far away from each other, but we have problems, challenges, expectations, so we live in this planet. So we have common responsibility. The states are there in order to solve the problems of their society. The new world order discussions in general, I would say, started already, but we don't know what type of new world order we are going to have. Every country at the moment in the world is directly influenced not only by climate change, but also by the movement of the population, migration, internal conflicts. So many issues which will be also given to the new generation that you, the students, the future of this country has to face. We are here in the coming hours with my dear academic colleagues to provide you a framework, a country far away from here, but mentally very close to you. So this is, the distance does not mean anything, because in this respect, as I learned also last year when I was first coming to Thailand, and I loved your country, is why I'm also here, and I came with great enthusiasm here to talk, to address to you. But we have to know one thing, in particular the students of international relations. As American academic, diplomat, politician, former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger published in recent years a book with the title about the world order. But the subtitle is very important. The subtitle is the process of history and how the nations think. It is the diplomacy. The nations have a mind. The nations think, and this thinking will be transferred into the international organizations. This is why the prime ministers, presidents, the kings, whatsoever, come together in order to talk about the issues and problems which concern everybody. Today's world is not so easy, but it was totally different when we talk about the Cold War years, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. Even the ASEAN countries, when you are part of ASEAN countries, when in the 60s ASEAN was created, it was not so many countries like today, there were just 5 countries. NATO, when it was established, there were not so many countries. Today we have 28 countries. European Union, when it was established, it was just 6 countries. Today we have 28 countries. So as Kissinger says, the institutions born, grow up, and die in the long run, like human beings. So this is also the debate of international order. How do we see the world and how the world sees us? One of the biggest problems, as American author George Mearsheimer is writing, The Great Delusion. It means at the moment the democratic countries experience a big problem. Democratic countries provide a lot of solutions, but there are the debate of illiberal democracies. What it means, what type of political leaders do we have now, and what type of politicians we will have in the next 10 to 20 years. How they will be educated, what type of education they have, what they learn, how they use the, let's say, smartphones, the technologies like artificial intelligence which will occupy the mind of the nations in the long run, and how the world will somehow contain China. The biggest problem today is not the United States of America, not Russia, but China, the emerging of China. First time we see that the world system can be changed in the sense that the world will look to Asia more than it was the case in the past. In other words, even the ASEAN countries, your country is also under the line. You cannot say anymore, we don't care. You have to care more than ever before, because the world is not stopping, the world is moving. And in this framework, my country, Turkey, a medium-sized country, non-nuclear power, conventional power country, my dear colleague will tell you. But I would like to mention one point. Turkey is among the first 20 economies of the world, G20. Turkey is a member of NATO, the biggest military security organization ever the world has experienced. Turkey is a member of all these international organizations, including ASEAN's observatory position, supported from outside. And what is more important, Turkey is 26 in the world concerning the population, with increasing number. Every year, Turkey's population is increasing more than 1 year, 1 million. And what is important, concerning the territorial location, Turkey is 24th in the world. We have 11 neighboring countries, more than 10,000 kilometers. The second longest, I would say, wall is not Mexican-American borders, because it is going to be built up, but the Turkish border with Syria, where Turkey is facing now a great wave of migration. If I do talk about the migration, you know what it means for the nations, for the states, when the people come in hundreds of thousands, how can you absorb them? How can you provide them safe haven? It is always a big problem. Turkey is one of the countries located in a very dangerous area. The geostrategic, geopolitical, and geoeconomic position of Turkey is making imperative that Turkey has to follow a very rational and realistic policy. So when you have 10 neighbors, sometimes I say it would be a very great thing if Turkey would be in the position of Germany. They have also a similar number of countries as neighboring countries. Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, Switzerland, Austria, perfect. You wake up, you are surrounded by all democratic countries. But as a Turk, if you wake up in the morning, oh my God, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Bulgaria, Ukraine, Russia, welcome to the hell. I mean, you have to be very, very careful there. And because it is not surrounded by democratic countries, but by different religions, different cultures, different, I would say, political systems. So one is democratic, the other one is not. One is presidential system, the other one has democratic one. So in order to survive in this geography is not easy. So the question is, how do we survive? In Turkish foreign policy, I want to mention in particular few points how Turkey is opening herself in foreign policy wise in the coming years. We, the Turks, at the moment we have 4 million refugees from the entire world, number one in the world at the moment, and how to not only this, but how Turkey is looking for the future waves of migration. How can we prevent if this type of events would take place again? In Syria, the war is still going on. There are a lot of potential for conflict, but also people from Africa, from Pakistan, Afghanistan, all these Central Asian countries, they are on the way through Turkey to the West, Europe in general. But Turkey is also one of the countries in recent years economically developed very fast. In the years 2002-2012, Turkey was, together with China, the most fast developing countries. Now we lost it to India and China, but Turkey became rich. The more you become rich, the more you look to the world differently. We have above $10,000 per capita income. This is worldwide acceptable, and this is why we are in G20. We are among the most richest countries, if you want, in the world. So from this perspective, Turkey as a democratic country with a strong Muslim population, could Turkey become an example for the Islamic world in particular? Turkey is also having the chairmanship of Islamic Conference Organization. We have 57 Muslim countries, and there are not so many democratic countries like Turkey. So Turkey was a model country, in other words, and the entire world looked like this. But Turkey's responsibility is also, first of all, to prevent the democratic structure, as my colleague will tell you. But at the same time, Turkey should be trustable, manageable, controllable, and reliable. Because if you are not this, then you have troubles. Some countries in the world, ladies and gentlemen, their instability is more important than those countries who try to have some not good ideas towards this country. Turkey's instability would create a big regional problem, starting from the migration wave to many others. So, modern Turkish foreign policy, actually, since 1923, was very successful. First, to make through the military alliances a security environment, then to join NATO. In the all Cold War years, Turkey was protected by the American nuclear weapons and other countries' support, but Turkey was changing after the end of the Cold War because the world changed. Turkey increased her influence through the dissolution of Soviet Union, the war in Bosnia-Herzegovina. You can imagine 15 countries from Soviet Union after Soviet Union dissolved, and 8 countries when Yugoslavia dissolved. Suddenly, when you look to the map in 1992, you do not see countries Slovenia, Slovakia, or let's say Montenegro, Serbia. We had Yugoslavia or Kosovo, the state of Kosovo. Or we didn't have Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan. They were all republics of Soviet Union. Now they are independent countries. If you are independent country, then you have a totally different attitude as you are part of an empire. Turkey was very advantageous position in those years because suddenly the Turkish influence increased very fast. Without shooting any bullet, the cultural, political, and economic influence of Turkey increased. And within this context, the great power status of certain countries, European Union, Russia, the United States of America, I would like to suggest to the young students in particular a very basic, fundamental book by Paul Kennedy with the title The Rise and Fall of Great Powers. There is a connection between economy and security. The more economically you are well, the more you pay for defense. Why? Because you have to defend your wealth. So this is why it's a vicious circle. In the entire world, as Niall Ferguson was also writing in his book, the Empire, talking about the British Empire, how Britain globalized the 20th century, it was very interesting. Turkey is also very careful. The more Turkey is getting stronger, wealthier, the more Turkey pays for defense. At the moment we are in the war, let's say in Syria, together with Russia, together with Iran, Turkey tries to protect Syrian territorial integrity, but we may not forget just a couple of years ago we had ISIS, the semi-state structure which created a big problem for the entire world, and it is just next to your door. I mean, I visited all those regional cities in Turkey and I know what I'm talking about. So Turkey is very prone, if you want, to this entire global developments and regional developments. So your foreign policy has to be very flexible. You have to change your position maybe overnight sometimes, that you face challenges which are not anticipated, and then you have to act. Turkey, at the same time, is the country which opened different type of policies. The opening of Turkey to the outside world. Africa is one of them. Latin America, Asia, for example, is another one. Turkey is a global player in this sense, not a big global power, but Turkey is a global player. We are very proud, of course, as Turks, that we fly Turkish Airlines directly from Istanbul to Bangkok, and more than 140 destinations Turkish Airlines fly. There are not so many airlines flying to the world, and flying very good quality, by the way. And the second point is Turkey is one of the countries which has most foreign embassies in other countries. In Africa, Turkey is the only country which increased the level of diplomatic representations from 15 to today more than 45 countries in Africa, opening new embassies. It means more and more connection, of course, provide you not only new opportunities, but also it's enlightening your view, and you will be seen also by the other countries that you are an important and potential player. So the problems what Turkey faces at the moment is not generated by Turkey, but generated by the neighboring countries. Take the Middle East countries. Israel, Egypt, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, or Syria. Even if you want to go to Africa, Sudan, what happens there, Turkey is feeling responsible to be there, to mediate, to bring the people on the table, to discuss this arbitrary role of Turkey was also part of Turkish foreign policy, including even in Philippines, these radical movements will be moderated by Turkey. In diplomatic sense, also Turkey was getting more and more integrated and playing important role. I would say, I know time is passing very fast. How many minutes? Finished. 1 minute. In 1 minute I can tell you. The professors can do this. The Turkish foreign policy is very active foreign policy. It's not passive. And the new official policy of Turkish state is to be on the table and to be on the field. There are not so many countries which are forced by the external developments that we have to take the action and be part of the developments. We are lucky in this sense, but at the same time feel responsible because we may not make the mistakes. The world, ladies and gentlemen, is not free of conflicts. Turkey will face further conflicts or conflictual areas will directly influence Turkey. But Turkey, coming from this historical experience as until today, with smaller countries or medium countries or with the big powers, try to have a balance of power policy like in the 19th century. Turkey is not trying to alienate the others, but try to bring them together and maximize the foreign policy interest. Every state defends their interest. The question is how your interest converge with the interest of the big countries or regional countries. Sometimes you have problems, sometimes you can act together. Now, do we have a very easy future in front of us? The answer is no. Can we survive? The answer is yes. Can Turkey contribute for peace? The answer is yes. But for this, the international existing organizations have also to change and improve their status. The world today, since 1945, world order does not solve the problems of today's challenges. So that is exactly why we need more debate to discuss. And this is our aim, to be here, to tell you, to discuss with you, and get also your views, what type of future is expecting us. I thank you very much for your kind interest. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your insight information, and it's very simple, and I think it's understandable for the audience here. เรามีนักวิชาการที่มีชื่อเสียงมาอยู่กับเราในวันนี้นะแล้วก็ท่านก็ได้ให้ภาพที่เป็นบทบาทของตุรกีในฐานะที่เป็นตัวแสดงในระดับโลกนะท่านบอกว่าตุรกีเนี่ยไม่ใช่มหาอำนาจของโลกนะครับแต่ว่าเป็นหนึ่งใน global player หรือว่าผู้เล่นที่อยู่ในระดับโลกที่ตุรกีเองเนี่ยนะครับถ้าจะดูสถานะของประเทศของตุรกีเราอาจจะได้เรียกได้ว่าเป็นมหาอำนาจระดับกลางนะฮะแล้วก็ ตำแหน่งของประเทศตุรกีเนี่ยมีความน่าสนใจตรงที่ว่าหลายประเทศมีประเทศเพื่อนบ้านไม่กี่ประเทศแต่ว่าตุรกีมีประเทศเพื่อนบ้านถึง11ประเทศใช่ไหมฮะแล้วก็แต่ละประเทศเนี่ยก็11หรือ7นะ11ใช่ไหมฮะแต่ละประเทศก็เขาเรียกว่าอะไรนะแสบๆทั้งนั้นนะฮะถ้าไปดูเยอรมนีเนี่ยนะฮะมีประเทศรอบข้างเป็นประเทศประชาธิปไตยก็เหมือนกับอยู่ในสวรรค์แต่สำหรับตุรกีเนี่ยท่านบอกว่าเป็นเหมือนกับอยู่ท่ามกลางนรกนะฮะพร้อมที่จะนำปัญหามาได้ตลอดนะฮะปัญหาที่ทำให้ตุรกีปวดหัวไม่ได้เกิดจากประเทศตุรกีเองแต่ว่าส่วนใหญ่แล้วเนี่ยนะครับมาจากประเทศเพื่อนบ้านนะฮะตุรกีเองมีความน่าสนใจตรงที่การพัฒนาทางด้านเศรษฐกิจของตุรกีก็เป็นไปอย่างรวดเร็วนะฮะถ้าจะเป็นรองประเทศที่กำลังขึ้นมาก็อาจจะเป็นจีนหรือว่าอินเดียนะครับตุรกีเองเป็นประเทศผู้สังเกตการณ์ในอาเซียนเช่นเดียวกันนะครับแล้วก็ในส่วนของจำนวนประชากรก็เป็นอันดับที่26นะครับของโลกนะครับทีนี้มีประเด็นหนึ่งที่ท่านได้ฉายภาพให้เราเห็นนะครับว่าโลกในยุคปัจจุบันเนี่ยมันเป็นโลกที่มันเคลื่อนไหวอยู่ตลอดเวลามันไม่ใช่แน่นิ่งนะครับตุรกีก็เหมือนกับอีกหลายประเทศที่เป็นหนึ่งในนั้นที่จะต้องวางบทบาทของตัวเองในฐานะที่เป็นผู้เล่นนะครับแล้วก็มีนโยบายต่างประเทศที่ชาญฉลาดบทเรียนหนึ่งที่ท่านได้ให้ไว้นะครับไม่ว่าจะเป็นประเทศไหนก็ตามหรือว่าเราในฐานะที่เป็นคนในพื้นที่ที่นี่เนี่ยนะครับก็คือเรามองโลกนี้อย่างไรนะฮะ how we see the world and how the world perceives us this is a good lesson for us today as well เรามองโลกอย่างไรโลกมองเราอย่างไรนะฮะแล้วก็ท่านได้กล่าวถึงความท้าทายหนึ่งที่ตุรกีประสบนั่นก็คือเรื่องของปัญหาผู้อพยพนะครับท่านบอกว่าถ้าตุรกีไม่สามารถที่จะสร้างเสถียรภาพได้นะครับปัญหาหลายๆอย่างอาจจะเกิดขึ้นในภูมิภาครอบข้างของตุรกีนะครับยกตัวอย่างเช่นถ้าสมมติว่าตุรกีไม่สามารถจัดการกับปัญหาผู้อพยพได้นะฮะแน่นอนมันย่อมที่จะทะลักไปในยุโรปแล้วก็สร้างปัญหาอีกหลายประการต่อเนื่องกันนะครับ so we have quite limited of time and I'm quite running out of time so I just try to spend very little time to translate briefly the next speaker we are looking forward to listening is Professor Tanju Tosun from Ege University.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues, dear participants, and dear students. Honestly saying, before we came to Thailand, I have known only some few informations about Thailand, your capital city. I mean, your potential in tourism sector and so on. But after we visited your beautiful country, we witnessed that there are so many things to see and observe except tourism, your culture, I mean your people, citizens, and moderate atmosphere of the society, really impressive for me, and hope to be here in the future again. Now I will briefly talk about domestic Turkish politics because my colleague Professor Bağcı stated that different forms of Turkish international relations and international politics. I an expert on domestic Turkish politics. So briefly, we'll talk about Turkish politics. Probably you have read something about Turkey, Turkey's geographical location, Turkey's population, and Turkish economy in the world, and so on. But if you need to tell something about, we have a population of approximately 80 million people, and our geographical location capacity is about 800,000 square kilometer. And what about the roots of Turkey? We have a deep roots of our culture, and our roots, strong roots, started with, Selçuklu state, then Ottoman state, and till 1923, Turkey as a republic, as a modern, secular, and Western country. But being a country of a Western country never means that we have no cooperation, no relation with the east of the world. So both the western and eastern part of the world are definitely our cooperate neighbors in the world region, in the world map. So let me talk about shortly from 1923 to today. In 1923, new Turkish Republic established after an independence war by the efforts of our national leader Mustafa Kemal Atatürk and his friends as a modern, liberal, democratic country in the world, and political regime was established as a republic. So since 1923 to 1946, Turkey was ruled under a single party. There were so many attempts to start a democracy under the new political regime, but real democratic standards has been set up in 1940s in Turkish Republic. Maybe we need to show the basic kilometer stones of Turkish politics. As I told, in 1923, republican regime started in Turkey. In 1945 and 1946, multi-party regime started in Turkey, and since 1946, Turkey is as a political regime with democracy under so many political parties. So we have a democracy which takes more than 60 years in our political history. Of course, Turkish democracy since 1945 had some problems, although today Turkish democracy has some problems in terms of the standards of democracy and in terms of human rights. But Turkey is trying to improve its standards day by day. And Turkey's vision of democracy is related with the vision of European Union, because Turkey as a part of Europe, and Turkey's basic vision is to be a European country. But this vision doesn't only depend on being a geographically a member of Europe, but also political and logical being a member of a European country. Why a European country? Is it so important for Turkey? I mean, we never take consideration of Europe as an only civilization region. Also, there are so many civilization regions in the world, from Western countries to Eastern countries. But why Westernization was important for Turkish political elites since 1920s? It's because this Westernization always regarded as a modernization process by Turkish political elites. So Turkish politics has a long story and history of Westernization and democratization and civilization process since 1920s till today. And Turkey since 1960s is trying to be a member of European Union, full member of European Union, but there are so many obstacles for Turkey as being regarded as a member of EU. Of course, we have some responsibilities not to be a member of EU, but also European Union side has created so many obstacles to Turkish state and Turkish politics. But as a vision, Turkey is one of the basic political target is to become a member of European Union. But being a member of European Union never creates a sharp, distinguished political position for Turkey. On the one hand, we want to be a member of EU, but on the other hand, we always want to improve our international political, economical relations and cooperation with the other regions, geographical regions of the world, even with Asian countries, of course. It's because, I mean, the vision of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk is for Turkey to be a member of respectful member of the world, and being a member of respectful nation doesn't mean to be a member, only a member of an EU or a European geography, but also the other geographical parts of the world. Since 1950s till today, Turkey is trying to improve its standards in terms of political, in terms of economical, in terms of international relations, and so on. So, of course, we have some social, economical, and political problems in the country. Let me talk about some basic problems of Turkey. I mean, some basic economical problems of Turkey, especially depending on the speed of globalization. It's not easy to adapt Turkish economy easily to global economic order. The second problem is a matter of the status or the origins of Turkish society. There is a sharp social divisions or social cleavages in Turkish society in terms of religion, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of social class, and so on. And according to the Turkish political elites, unfortunately, it is not quite easy to make a balance between social classes, ethnic groups, and religious groups. But we know that in Turkey, according to the international agreements, there are not ethnic minorities. Only few ethnic minorities, depending on international agreements. So we face with some such problems. Also, sharp social divisions makes our Turkish society a polarized society, and it is not easy to manage this polarized society easily by the political elites. In any case, as a result, Turkey has a deep historical, political roots in human history and in the world. But we have some basic economical, social, political problems, but we are hopeful to solve all such problems step by step, not only our personal efforts of Turkish citizens, but also we are trying to solve problems with the cooperation of different countries, different citizens, different nations, from Western geography to Eastern geography in the world. And for example, the more we cooperate with the countries, the more we will have a chance to live under welfare conditions, even if politically and even if economically. Thanks for your listening.
Thank you very much for your wonderful presentations. Especially you have given us the understanding of how or what is the foundations for Turkish domestic politics and how it's connect with the European countries, how important is the Europe for Turkey. ท่านดร. Professor นะครับท่านยูโทซุนนะครับซึ่งท่านเป็นผู้ที่เชี่ยวชาญด้านการเมืองภายในประเทศตุรกีก็ได้ฉายภาพให้เราเห็นว่าการเมืองภายในตุรกีเนี่ยมีประเด็นอะไรที่สำคัญบ้างนะครับประเด็นแรกก็คือท่านได้กล่าวถึงในช่วงเริ่มแรกนะครับว่าตุรกีหลังจากการปฏิวัตินะครับหลังจากยุคออตโตมันนะครับมาสู่ในช่วงสมัยของอาตาเติร์กนะครับนับตั้งแต่ปี 1923 ถึง 1946 นี่ก็เป็นช่วงเวลาที่ตุรกีเนี่ยปกครอง ในระบบโดยระบอบประชาธิปไตยนะครับโดยที่มีพรรคการเมืองพรรคเดียวเป็นผู้บริหารประเทศนะครับแต่ว่าหลังจากปี 1946 เป็นต้นมาเนี่ยนะครับก็มีพรรคการเมืองหลายพรรคมากขึ้นในช่วงแรกนะครับเป็นการสร้างชาติใหม่โดยที่เน้นเรื่องของการสร้างอารยธรรมสร้างความเป็นชาตินะครับแล้วก็มีประเทศตะวันตกเนี่ยเป็นโมเดลหรือว่าเป็นแบบอย่างนะคำถามหนึ่งที่มีความสำคัญก็คือว่าทำไมยุโรปหรือว่าทวีปยุโรปเนี่ยนะครับถึงมีความสำคัญอย่างยิ่งสำหรับตุรกีนะฮะคำตอบที่ท่านได้ให้ไว้นะครับคร่าวๆก็คือจริงๆนะท่านบอกว่ายุโรปเนี่ยเป็นประเทศที่ซีวิไลซ์นะมีอารยธรรมแต่ไม่ใช่ยุโรปอย่างเดียวที่มีอารยธรรมนะครับแต่บรรดาชนชั้นนำทางการเมืองของตุรกีนะครับในเวลานั้นเนี่ยครับตั้งแต่ทศวรรษที่ 1920 นะครับก็มองถึงความสำคัญของยุโรปในฐานะที่เป็นประเทศต้นแบบนะครับของประชาธิปไตยนะครับแล้วก็ทำให้กระบวนการสร้างชาติกระบวนการสร้างอารยธรรมตุรกีการเมืองตุรกีแบบเซคูล่านะครับเป็นไปตามแบบแผนของประเทศในยุโรปนะฮะตุรกีมีความเป็นสาธารณรัฐเป็นประเทศเซคูล่าเป็นประเทศที่มีความทันสมัยหรือว่าโมเดิร์นคันทรีนะครับนอกจากนี้นะฮะอีกประเด็นหนึ่งที่มีความสำคัญอย่างยิ่งที่ท่านได้ให้บทเรียนกับภูมิภาคอื่นๆก็คือว่าการที่ตุรกีเนี่ยพยายามที่จะเข้ากับ EU เนี่ยในด้านหนึ่งในขณะเดียวกันตุรกีก็ไม่ได้ปฏิเสธบทบาทของตัวเองหรือว่าปิดกั้นบทบาทของตัวเองในการที่จะไปสร้างสัมพันธ์กับประเทศอื่นๆในระดับโลกแล้วก็ในช่วงท้ายท่านก็เน้นย้ำประเด็นนี้อีกว่าการที่ตุรกีมีความร่วมมือมากขึ้นก็จะทำให้ตุรกีเนี่ยมีความมั่งคั่งทางเศรษฐกิจมากขึ้นนะครับแล้วก็ประเด็นก่อนที่จะจบมีประเด็นหนึ่งที่ท่านได้กล่าวถึงความท้าทายของสังคมตุรกีในเวลานี้นะครับนั่นก็คือการที่มีการแบ่งฝักแบ่งฝ่ายนะหรือว่าที่เรียกว่า polarized society นะอันนี้ก็เป็นสิ่งที่ตุรกีเองจะต้องก้าวข้ามนะครับผ่านความท้าทายตรงนี้ให้ได้นะครับNext speakers, I would like to invite Assistant Professor Marwe Sirin from Israel. Remote control. Do you have the question and answers? Or you want to see this?
şeyler görünmezse grafikler tablolar
ประเด็นที่ทางช่วยศาสตราจารย์มาร์เวนะครับที่จะนำเสนอก็คือจะเป็นประเด็นที่มันลึกลงไปอีกนะครับเป็นประเด็นเกี่ยวกับการทหารและก็ความมั่นคงของประเทศตุรกีนะฮะตุรกีมีบทบาทที่น่าสนใจอย่างยิ่งครับเป็นประเทศส่งออกอาวุธอันดับที่ 14 ของโลกนะครับก็ถือว่ามีความสำคัญในมิตินี้นะครับก็ขอเชิญพบกับท่านได้เลยครับไฟล์ของอาจารย์อยู่ในนี้อยู่ในเครื่องนี้ไม่มีครับเปิดส่งให้ทางอีเมลมาโอเคอย่าเช็คกิ้ง สำหรับความขัดข้องนิดหน่อยในเรื่องการส่งต่อไปกันคือเราจะเห็นว่าจากวิทยากรท่านแรกนะครับที่ได้ฉายภาพให้เราเห็นถึงบทบาทของตุรกีรอยสักครู่นะก็ขออภัยสำหรับความขัดข้องนะฮะก็ทวนอีกครั้งหนึ่งนะครับช่วงต้นเราได้ฟังตุรกีนะครับในเวทีโลกนะหมายถึงว่าตำแหน่งของตุรกีทางภูมิศาสตร์ที่มีความสำคัญอย่างยิ่งนะครับแล้วก็บทบาทของตุรกีในปัจจุบันที่เริ่มที่จะเฉิดฉายขึ้นมาในระดับโลกนะครับไม่ว่าจะเป็นทางการเมืองทางเศรษฐกิจหรือว่าทางความมั่นคงนะครับเวทีแรกตรงนี้เนี่ยเราคุยกันในประเด็นของการเมืองแล้วก็ความมั่นคงนะครับส่วนเวทีที่2นะครับก็จะมีประเด็นทางด้านเศรษฐกิจขึ้นมานะครับ
All right, everybody. First of all, it is a very good, it's a very nice pleasure of us, to be here and to be speaking to you. And today I'm going to talk about the defense industry of Turkey, actually the success story of Turkey. How could we become an country? Now it's selling its arms to the other countries as well. So so our success story is like the beginning with a customer and turning into a supplier country and competitive supplier country. So actually I would like to use the PowerPoint in order to show you the weapons that we are now exporting to the other countries. First of all, to my speech, I would like to start with a theory that is very much, widely discussed in the, literature of defense studies. And that theory comes with the discussion about guns or butter. Butter means, do you think that should we invest on economy to our first needs in order to meet our requirements? Or should we first buy guns and afterwards then we can invest to the other sectors of the economy? So there's a very big discussion. Do you think that, spending on arms or technology is something that is useless? Or on the other side, do you think that if we buy or if we invest on the arms technology, also we are investing on the science and technology or for the research and development, or for also we are triggering the other sectors of the economy? Do you think so? So it's the discussion. When Turkey, was first, formed, Atatürk, our founder, said that you have to open the factories and plants as much as you want. As much as is possible. So it was not just about the defense policy, but it was also the industrialization policy. So don't forget the defense sector was very much interrelated with the industrialization process of the Turkish Republic in the early ages, in the first beginning. So in that period, we see that at least 4 important factories were established at that time. And the first one is actually the general director of the, this military factories in 1922. It was compromising the policies of the defense industry and the political mechanism as well. So they were also trying to control from one hand of the other, different plans that were deployed in the different parts of Turkey as well. So in the first part, we were producing the ammunition. So it can be about the capsule, or it can be also about the, gas plants as well. And in the second round, Turkey, made an industrial move. And it was the first time that Turkey, opened its naval shipyard. But don't forget that in the Ottoman period, Turkey was very famous with its shipbuilding processes. Also, Turkey was very famous with its ammunition that it was processed. Even at that time, we were producing, during the Ottoman period, we were producing our own artillery. However, at the end of the Ottoman period, everything was stopped, investing on the arms. And then it was the first time that Turkey was reopened its naval shipyard in 1924. And the other one is, the aircraft and motor company that comes after in 2026. However, things didn't go well. Maybe actually things didn't go as expected because the economic crisis, the agricultural policy, the drought, and there were so many, things that were, affecting the defense sector actually at that time. So unfortunately, Turkey, had to get military, financial, and economic aids from the United States. So we had two programs at that time. The first one is the Truman Doctrine, the other one is the Marshall Plan. However, even the Marshall Plan was, continued until 1951. Turkey needed, Turkey wanted from United States to extend the credits that is giving to Turkey at that time. And this is very important. Just, I'm gonna move it. Adnan Menderes, he was the prime minister at that time. He pays a visit to United States in 1954. It was very important. Why? Because Turkey said that even I cannot pay the salaries of my own military officers, the intelligence officers. And then at that time, we demanded from the United States an extra $200,000. And also we wanted the United States to extend its credits to Turkey, as you see. And what is the main idea? It was that we have to meet the requirements of the Turkish armed forces at that time. So it means that when you get money, when you buy, when you borrow money, when you get arms, or when they borrow even their own military equipment to you, it means that you are getting much more dependent on that country. So there is another saying that you are not only buying, arms, but you are also buying the friendship of that supplier country. So after the Second World War, there were two main discussions about that. So they were saying, do you think that arms transfer is just something belonging to the trade issue, or it is very much belonging to the ideology export? So when we see after the Second World War, there were two top arms exporter countries in that period. The first one is United States and the second one is Russia. And today, these two countries are still the top two arms exporter countries, don't forget. So at that time, those countries were exporting at the same time, not their arms, not their military technologies, but at the same time they were exporting their ideologies and policies to the rest of the world. And the second one is about the trade. Today you see the combination of this. First, just look at the Trump, just look at the United States. It's not just only, exporting, arms exporting of its ideologies and policies, but it's very much related with the trade interests as well. So it's like a game both sides. And what happened? Turkey, demanded that money, that amount of money, and the United States accepted to give it back to Turkey. And unfortunately, this dependency created lots of risks and stress in the future. And the first time that Turkey faced with the risk was in 1964, and it comes with the Johnson letter. And Johnson letter was very important because it was the first time that President Johnson was threatening Turkey not to allow Turkey to use its own military equipment unless they approve Turkish foreign policy or the military, or military and security policies of Turkey. So it was the first time that we realized that it will be very much risky in the future of Turkey. Unfortunately, they couldn't do anything else until 1974. It was the first time that in Turkey, was faced in a direct military, directly arms embargo. But after this period of time, Turkey had to face both directly and indirectly with the arms embargoes from the United States and from other Western allies. For instance, I can say something to you like this. Germany and Turkey had like 20 defense projects starting from the 2000s. However, Germany and Turkish relations, the Berlin and the Ankara relations was, getting, tight and get worsened. And immediately the Berlin announced that we are going to cancel 13 projects out of 20. So they canceled it immediately. So what happens? Can you get your money back? Well, actually, you can get. but it means that it's a very, long way to get your money back, because there are two ways you are taking the arms transfer, from government to government, and government or from private sector to the private sector, so two ways. If you are buying your arms, you are buying directly from the United States, but for the other Western countries, you can also go directly. You don't have to negotiate with the government anymore, but you can also directly procure that weapon technology, military technology from the private companies of the Western allies. So after Turkey faced this military embargo in 1974 till it was continued to 78, Turkey had to procure its all necessary equipment from the other countries, and it was most of the time from the Middle East countries, even from the Libya. Today it's very interesting. If you would like to buy a weapon from Russia, and they said that because you're a NATO ally, you're not really allowed to get all of your military requirements from Russia, but you get them from Azerbaijan. And do you know where Azerbaijan gets its military equipment? From Russia. So it means that you are procuring the military technology for the second round, and it is, believe me, much more expensive than expected. And after this military embargo, Turkey, established its own national defense industry, and it's very important because it was the first time in 1965 that Turkish Armed Forces Foundation was established, and today now more than 13 companies are belonging to this, foundation. So as you see, TAI, Aselsan, Roketsan, the three companies that were formed in the beginning of the 70s, those companies now are the top. They are top, defense companies in the top 100 around the world at the global scale. And I'm passing. You can see the companies that Turkey, Turkey's defense industry that belongs. They are both private and military. They are also both government-owned companies and also the private ones as well. So what about today? So what is our success story? Every time that we experience an direct or indirect embargoes, Turkey invested more than ever to its defense industry. So there are four different models of defense procurement. When I'm saying procurement, it means that I am buying, all right? But you can buy it from your own companies, but you can also buy it from the other foreign companies. So defense procurement is not, just mentioning the national or international, it goes for both of the way. So there are five models actually. The first one is starting with the smart acquisition. What do I mean by smart? Smart means that there are so many sellers around you, and there are so many military technologies around you, but you are picking up the best technology with the best price and from your maybe the most closest ally country. So most of the time, Turkey's smart acquisition goes to the four countries: the United States and the France, Germany. And also in the last time Spain and Indonesia. So these are the smart acquisition, like the Leopard, Germany's. But what is interesting that in the past Turkey was getting all of its tanks from the Germany, but now Turkey is producing its own howitzers, self-propelled howitzers. It's also Turkey is producing its own tanks as well, and we are competing in the international bid with the Germany as well today. And what about license production? License production is that you started to produce that arms, that military technology in your own country, but the other country gives the license to you. When it gives the license to you, it means that you cannot use that product anywhere or anytime you want, but it allows you. But it doesn't mean that it's giving intellectual property of rights, okay, property of use. It also doesn't give you the use of the property right as well. So we have got license production, F-16, G3 infantry rifle, and Stinger missiles as well. And now today Turkey is producing its own rifles like MPT rifles. And we are also today, I don't know if you heard about it, but Turkey was a partner country in the F-35 program, and we were producing more than 900 parts of the F-35 jets. Even we were producing our own missiles, and they were much integrated and deployed to the, headed to the F-35 aircrafts as well. And co-production and joint venture and technology transfer, they goes with each other. And attack helicopter, new type submarine, multi-purpose helicopter, Göktürk 1 satellite. These are all designed by Turkey. But when I design it by myself, it doesn't mean that I produce every part of that system, like the platform. It means that, for instance, I can buy in the, attack helicopter. We also cooperated with the other, countries, the European countries as well. Most of the time, the problem that Turkey faces is that we have to buy the motors from the Germany. But today, Israel or the United States is also buying its military motors from the Germany as well, because they are leading the global market in the motors. And new type submarines, we are also using like the motors or some of the software programming from the other countries as well. But if you say that, if the design belongs to you, if the production you cooperate with the joint venture technology transfer, it means that the use of property is in your hands. I pass it over. And what about original design and manufacturing? It means that again you can get different parts of the arms, military technology from other countries, but it doesn't matter because you design it on and you integrate it in on your own factory. So this is very important. So when you get this, the intellectual property of right and also the use of the property right is in your hands. And what about R&D? R&D means that now you became a very competitive supplier. It means that if you produce your own products after the research and development process, so we say that first research and development, and then after the production, serial production comes. So if you can invest lots of money in the research and development, but if you do not produce what you researched or developed, it's something unnecessary. All right, so you have to follow up with the serial production of it. Somji cruise missile is the first cruise missile that was developed by Turkey, and also we have Jirit, and we have got the suicide drones on the right side, and we have got also the anti-tank, this weapon systems as well. And now we are also exporting what we are using after this R&D. So cruise missiles, actually the cruise missiles were the ones that we were just planning to integrate into the F-35 aircrafts. And what about the sister sectors? As I said to you before, when I invest in the defense, I also invest in the other sister sectors as well. So one of them is the, energy, and the other one is the medical and also the radar technologies. Today, when you get sick, you enter to the MR, MR. And it's scanning all of your body. Do you know when this scanning first came? In the military technology, actually. So first they developed it in the military, and then they started to use it in the medical sector as well, all of this MR. And also the phones that are using today, they're also developed in the military, and now we are using those military telephones as our iPhones and other phones as well. And also all the artificial intelligence in the time, for instance, iPhone has got a Siri, application Siri. This is the artificial intelligence actually developed in the military in 1964, and now in 2011 we are using a Siri program in our iPhones. And what about the future technology trends? So they are all very much related with each other. What do I mean by that? So for instance, you developed a rocket, all right? And if I say that, the rocket means that unguided. But if you produce a missile, it means that guided. So how you achieve to make it guided? It means that you are developing your own software program. It means that you are also using artificial intelligence for that. So artificial intelligence, robotics, big data, cybersecurity, autonomous system, and smart energy. They are very much interrelated with interlinked sectors with each other, the subfields. Also, I can say that, for instance, the drones that are using today for surveillance, reconnaissance, or even targeting, killing targets, they are all using this robotic technology, and drone systems are using the artificial intelligence as well. So what happened when you are looking to the world? All right. We have to keep in mind that the United States and Russia, they are the top arms exporter countries. And do you know where do they invest? Where do they sell their arms? The first one is actually Middle East countries, and following it's like the Gulf countries, and after Asia. Now Asia, last month, maybe 1.5 months ago, I was in Singapore in Shangri-La dialogue, and they were all of the Western countries. They were discussing which Asian country should we, sell our military technologies? So now Asia symbolizes a very, very good customer for the Western suppliers. And when you're looking that United States is producing, is getting the share of the market of the 36%, and then Russia comes with the 21% of the global share. And the other countries, France, Germany, China, UK, Spain, Israel, Italy, and Holland, most of the time they are ranked on the same places like the last 15 or 20 years, arms exporter countries. Just China, changed from time to time because it's also importing as well. And it was the first time that Turkey now ranks as the 14th country who's exporting its own arms. But at the same time, Turkey is importing on the 13th ranked on the global scale. But it doesn't matter because it's very important because you import to export. This is important. So we buy motors, but also we embedded those motors into our own military technologies, to our own military products, so for exporting. So when you are looking this import and exports, they are very much going, parallel with each other. And what happens? So first time that when you invest on your defense and when you are producing and developing your own defense technology, it means that now you are achieving the self-sufficiency of the Turkish armed forces. Now Turkey is able to, meet the requirement of the 70% of its own forces. And it's also, eliminating the single source dependency. What do I mean? Because for many years, Turkey was very much dependent on the NATO's market, and now we are not changing the market, we are not changing the policy, but we are looking for the other sources there as well. Because smart acquisition means that you have to have a very wide variety of the resources in this respect. And what about good customer to competitive supplier? Just last thing that I want to mention is that that in the November, at the end of the November, you are going to have your own forum for defense and security forum. And in the past, in Turkey we were organizing IDEF. And in every 2 years, this organization was taking place. In the past, so many companies were coming from the West. But now, in the last 5 years, on the last 6 years, actually we see that there is a very huge decrease in the companies that are now participating into our exhibitions and forums. It means that because when you started to sell your own products, they are not coming to sell their own. So you understand, even by looking at the forums, how many companies are coming, how many companies are participating. According to, if you're a good customer, you see that like hundreds, maybe 1,000 companies coming to your own country to sell them. But if you are becoming a competitive supplier, then it's decreasing. And as you see, the $1.86 billion, Turkey was, it was the total sales in 2006, and in 2017 it's increased into the 9.69. And also the last thing is important, that the research and development is very important. So in the past, when we were looking at the defense project that was taking in the defense mechanism of Turkey, it was just around 50 to 100, and now we reached almost more than 600 projects in the defense sector. So, and it costs for almost $6 billion for the contracts, for the both for the main contractors and for the subcontractors as well. And thank you very much for you.
Thank you very much for your deep and very detailed and technical presentations on Turkish defense strength. ท่านผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์ดร.มารุเวกนะครับก็ท่านเป็นผู้เชี่ยวชาญทางด้านการทหารแล้วก็เรื่องของอุตสาหกรรมอาวุธนะครับของประเทศตุรกีนะครับเนื่องจากเวลาสั้นนะครับก็ขอสรุปนะครับในภาพรวมที่ท่านได้นำเสนอนะครับเกี่ยวกับประเด็นการทหารแล้วก็สมรรถนะทางด้านความมั่นคงของตุรกีนะครับโดยเฉพาะอย่างยิ่งบทบาทของตุรกีที่เปลี่ยนจากการเป็นลูกค้าที่ดีนะครับไปสู่ผู้ค้าที่มีความสามารถในการแข่งขันสูงนะฮะถามว่าตุรกีสามารถที่จะสร้างตัวเองจากที่เป็นประเทศผู้ที่ซื้ออาวุธจากประเทศอื่นจนมาสู่การเป็นประเทศที่ค้าอาวุธให้ประเทศอื่นในตุรกีทำได้อย่างไรนะเส้นทางการเปลี่ยนแปลงของตุรกีหลังจากที่ออตโตมันสูญเสียอำนาจไปเนี่ยซึ่งแน่นอนในช่วงเวลาที่เป็นมหาอำนาจเนี่ยก็มีการส่งออกอาวุธนะครับการผลิตกระสุนอุตสาหกรรมอาวุธต่างๆ แต่ว่าในช่วงเวลาหนึ่งที่ตุรกีต้องการที่จะสร้างชาติแล้วก็สถานะมันช่วงที่ถูกลดลงมาเนี่ยตุรกีมีความใกล้ชิดกับสหรัฐอเมริกานะในฐานะพันธมิตรเนโตเนี่ยนะครับมีการเยือนของนายกรัฐมนตรีไปยังอเมริกานะครับมีแง่มุมหนึ่งที่น่าสนใจก็คือเป็นสิ่งที่อเมริกาได้กล่าวไว้นะฮะว่าถ้าคุณซื้ออาวุธก็เท่ากับว่าคุณซื้อมิตรภาพam I right if you buy arms means that you buy friendship is that from US เป็นคำพูดที่พูดกันมานานแล้วนะทีนี้ในช่วงเวลาหลังสงครามโลกครั้งที่2เนี่ยนะครับช่วงเวลานั้นนะครับเป็นช่วงของสงครามเย็นซึ่งเป็นการแข่งขันกันระหว่างสหภาพโซเวียตกับสหรัฐอเมริกามันมี2ประเด็นที่ท่านยกขึ้นมาให้คบคิดกันว่าการซื้อขายอาวุธเนี่ยเป็นเรื่องของการค้าอย่างเดียวหรือว่าเป็นเรื่องของการส่งออกอุดมการณ์นะฮะในปัจจุบันเองรัสเซียกับอเมริกาเองก็ยังคงเป็นประเทศชั้นนำนะฮะท็อปเอ็กซ์พอร์เตอร์ด้านอาวุธนะครับก็ไม่ได้ต่างจากช่วงเวลานั้นนะฮะประเด็นของท่านก็คือว่านอกเหนือจากการซื้ออาวุธแล้วมันคือการซื้อมิตรภาพแล้วก็การรับเอาอุดมการณ์เข้ามาเช่นเดียวกันนะตุรกีเคยประสบกับปัญหาการระงับนะครับการขายอาวุธนะครับในช่วงทศวรรษที่ 1970 ฮะปีประมาณ 1974 ถึง 78 เนี่ยนะครับเนื่องจากว่าตุรกีเข้าไปแทรกแซงนะครับการเมืองนะฮะในประเทศไซปรัสเนี่ยทำให้ถูกลงโทษแล้วก็มีหลายประเทศที่ไม่ได้ขายอาวุธให้กับตุรกีนะฮะแต่ว่ามีข้อสังเกตหนึ่งที่น่าสนใจก็คือว่า3บริษัทที่ตั้งตัวเองขึ้นมาในช่วงเวลานั้นเพื่อที่จะผลิตอาวุธเนี่ยนะครับคือภาพมันเหมือนกับว่าพอเราถูกบีบเราก็พยายามที่จะช่วยเหลือตัวเองนะอันนี้คือบทเรียนที่สำคัญ3บริษัทในช่วงเวลานั้นเนี่ยณปัจจุบันกลายเป็นบริษัทที่ติดท็อป100นะครับท็อป1 ใน 100นะครับของบริษัทค้าอาวุธในโลกนี้นะครับนอกจากนี้ท่านก็ได้ให้รูปแบบร่วมโมเดลสำหรับการพัฒนาอุตสาหกรรมอาวุธของประเทศตุรกีนะครับจากเรื่องไล่มาแต่เรื่องของการซื้ออาวุธการซื้อกิจการเรื่องของลิขสิทธิ์เรื่องจนถึงเรื่องของการผลิตร่วมกับประเทศอื่นจนกระทั่งมาผลิตด้วยตัวเองนะครับแล้วก็สุดท้ายกระบวนการที่สำคัญที่สุดก็คือกระบวนการวิจัยและพัฒนาหรือว่า R&D นะครับก็อันนี้ก็คือทำให้ท้ายที่สุดแล้วตุรกีก็คงสถานะของผู้ที่เป็นผู้ส่งออกอาวุธในลำดับที่ 14 ของโลกนะครับประเทศคู่ค้าที่สำคัญประเทศลูกค้าที่สำคัญที่สุดก็มีกาตาร์ 30% เตุรกเมนิสถาน 23% ซาอุดิอาระเบีย 10% นะข้อสังเกตหนึ่งที่ตุรกีได้สร้างความเข้มแข็งให้กับตัวเองขึ้นมาก็คือเรื่องของการผลิตโดรนเฮลิคอปเตอร์นะครับรถถังอะไรต่างๆแต่ว่าถ้าเราดูปี 2006 ถึง 2017 ในระยะ 10 ปีเนี่ยตุรกีมีกำไรจากการค้าอาวุธขึ้นมาประมาณ 7,000 ล้านนะครับจาก 1.86 มา 6.69 นะก็ประมาณ 6,000 ล้านUS ดอลลาร์นะครับนี่ก็คือทั้งหมดนะครับของเรื่องของการเมืองนะครับในระดับระหว่างประเทศเรื่องของการเมืองภายในประเทศแล้วก็สมรรถนะทางทหารของประเทศตุรกี as we are running out of time could I allow just one question from the floor เรามีเวลาจำกัดนะครับถ้าขอเพียงแค่1คำถามได้ไหมฮะ Two yeah two quick question มีคำถามไหมครับ Any question Sir yes
มีไมค์ไหม
ไมโครโฟน
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I have a question, and my question is about security of country and the territory of Lausanne. In the 2023, this treaty is going to be officially terminated. This treaty has been long in 100 years. So I would like to explain how you think about this treaty terminate and what it could improve in security of country, especially the shipping of European countries to Asian countries and the fruit Bosphorus. Thank you.
The beginning ช่วงต้นของคำถาม
Turkish Republic, and it is not limited for 100 years. What happens if Turkey survives 2,000 years? Is there any power which can change the Lausanne Treaty? No. So there are speculations, there are some conspiracy theories, if you want, that this Lausanne Treaty would terminate 100 years later. Turkish Republic is not a colony. It is not like Hong Kong, that after 99 years it should be given back to Chinese, because it is an independent republic. Turkey fought this independence. Until we die, non-exist, then fine. A couple of years, you are young, I'm still young. We will see this, that it will be not the case that those people who say that Lausanne Treaty has no validity, it is not true. There is not any international agreement, treaty, which can terminate this. It is not possible. But the question is right. Thank you that you put it, because there are some speculations, miscalculations in this direction. So thank you that you provided me the opportunity to clear it up. No implications, of course, for the others. I mean, Asia or the security. Every country has security problems. Some countries have more security problems, some countries less. Our advantage is that we live in an area where we have connections to different regions. We are Balkan country, Mediterranean country, Middle East country, Central Asian country, Caucasian country. So the security issue, I can speak of course hours about this. Security remains for Turkey as the first priority. Survival is the most important one, and I think Turkey as a country among the first 20 countries of the world would challenge any security question. Turkey has done in the recent years successful military operations, Euphrates Shield or Afrin operation, even now in Manbij. Turkey is there. Turkey is member of NATO, first of all, has the NATO protection. Turkey is strategic ally of the United States of America, has good relations with Russia, has good relations with Iran, etc., etc. So Turkey will somehow further survive, and Turkey is a security provider, not security consumer. This term is important. To be security provider is something else as the security consumer. We do not consume security, we provide security, and it is our strength.
Since we have a very limited time, I would like to receive one more question. Just one question. มีคำถามอีกไหมฮะขอคำถามเดียว No question? Now I would like to thank all of our speakers for being here with us today. We hope that we can see you again here in the future, and ขอเสียงปรบมือให้กับวิทยากรของเราด้วย
It's a terrific talk. I believe your comments were exactly what the audience expected to hear. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to our speakers.
And now, may I invite Mr. Paisan Dao, Associate Dean for Student Affairs and Cooperation Education, to present a token of appreciation to our speakers.
from our youth, Turkish. This is the Evlife. Every student should have this before your room. For your further success.
I remember.
Thank you, Renee.
ลำดับต่อไปนะครับเราก็จะเริ่มการเสวนาในช่วงที่2นะครับในเรื่องของตุรกีกับนัยสำคัญต่อประเทศไทยและภูมิภาคเอเชียตะวันออกเฉียงใต้นะครับ
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen again. Welcome all of you to the public seminar panel 2, Turkey and the significant implication for Thailand and Southeast Asia.
On this occasion, may I invite our speaker on the stage. Please give a warm welcome to Professor Dr. Gurgun Erdogan Tursun from Ege University. Assistant Professor Dr. Berg Essen from Bilkent University. And Mrs. Kulsum Ekburut from Middle East Technical University and former head of International Relations Prime Minister Office. And this session will be moderated by Dr. Yasmin Sattar, a specialist at Turkish Studies Center at Faculty of Political Science, Ysongkhla Songkhla University, Pattani campus.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think it might be quite a long seminar for today, but I hope you all will have a very broad picture of Turkey today. So first of all, welcome you all again for the second seminar. สวัสดีตอนบ่ายนะคะแล้วก็ใครง่วงๆอยู่ก็อาจจะมีการออกไปเข้าห้องน้ำแล้วก็มานั่งฟังกันต่อนะคะเดี๋ยวเราจะได้เห็นอีกภาพหนึ่งเนาะนะคะของตุรกีกับเมืองไทยนะคะแล้วก็อาจจะเป็นเรื่องของตุรกีในมิติในเรื่องของเศรษฐกิจนะคะรวมถึงตุรกีในมิติของเรื่องของสื่อนะคะหรือCSO หรือการกลุ่มที่เป็นกลุ่มภาคประชาสังคมของตุรกีเนี่ยนะคะเขามีการขับเคลื่อนยังไงบ้างนะคะซึ่งอันนี้ก็จะเป็นอีกมิติหนึ่งนะคะที่เราจะได้ฟังกันวันนี้เนาะนะคะ Okay, so today we have 3 of our speakers with us today. Our second panel will be on the topic of Turkey in the world today, significant implication for Thailand and Southeast Asia as well. So the speaker who will give a picture of another dimension of Turkey today is including our 3 honored guests. First, nearby me is Ms. Gulsum Akbulut. She is a PhD candidate at Middle East Technical University and also a former head of international relations at Prime Minister's Office. The second one is Assistant Professor Dr. Berg Essen from Bilkent University
And the last one is Professor Dr. Gulgun Algan Tosun from Ege University วันนี้เราก็มีอาจารย์3ท่านนะคะที่จะมาอยู่กับพวกเราวันนี้เนาะนะคะมีไปแล้ว3อีก3ก็เป็น6นะคะวันนี้นะคะอาจารย์ท่านแรกเนี่ยนะคะที่ใกล้ๆเนี่ยนะคะท่านเป็นอาจารย์ประจำเป็น PhD candidate หรือนักศึกษาปริญญาเอกนะคะอยู่ที่มหาวิทยาลัยที่ชื่อว่า Middle East Technical University นะคะแล้วก็ในอดีตเนี่ยนะคะท่านเคยทำงานอยู่ที่เป็นหัวหน้านะคะของฝ่ายความสัมพันธ์ระหว่างประเทศประจำสำนักนายกรัฐมนตรีนะคะของประเทศตุรกีนะคะและคนที่2ถัดไปเนี่ยนะคะก็เป็นอาจารย์นะคะอยู่ที่มหาวิทยาลัยบิลเคนนะคะประเทศตุรกีนะคะและอีกท่านหนึ่งเนี่ยนะคะก็เป็นอาจารย์ทางด้านสื่อนะคะท่านได้ทำงานแล้วก็เขียนหนังสือเกี่ยวกับเรื่องสื่อแล้วก็ภาควิชาสังคมของตุรกีเนี่ยมาหลายเล่มแล้วนะคะเมื่อเช้าท่านบอกว่าเขียนไป15เล่มนะคะที่เป็นเอดิเตอร์เองนะคะแต่ที่ไปลงบทความอีกก็ไม่รู้อีกกี่เล่มนะคะก็มาจากมหาวิทยาลัยที่ชื่อว่า Ege University นะคะเพราะฉะนั้นวันนี้เราจะได้อีก3มุมมองนะคะเกี่ยวกับประเทศตุรกีนะคะ let's start with Assistant Professor Dr. Berk Ehsen. He will give us a brief presentation related to the comparison between Thailand and Turkey. So, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's difficult to follow up after the last panel. We had 3 very interesting presentations on 3 particular the important subject areas of contemporary Turkish politics. In this panel, what I would like to do is to talk about, is to come up with a brief analytical framework to help understand Thai and Turkish politics. I actually, in my own research, I haven't necessarily worked on Thai political history, but I actually have really found this country's political history to be rather very interesting and quite similar to the Turkish one. So having found a Thai audience, I wanted to take up this challenge of comparing these 2 countries' political trajectory. But before I begin, let me first of all thank the Thai embassy in Ankara, as well as the Turkish Studies Center at Songkhla University for their kind invitation. It's really been a pleasure for us, I guess overall as a delegation, but also particularly for me, to have spent the last 3 days in Thailand, having visited not only Bangkok but also Pattani, to be with you all, academics, students, journalists, policymakers who really have put up a very interesting side or face of Thai society. To me, it was also a very pleasant surprise to see a Turkish studies center located at this university. I see that there are some young students, undergraduate students in the audience. I would like to take this opportunity to encourage you to apply to Turkish universities. There are numerous scholarship opportunities, so you should definitely come and spend time in Turkey, not only for vacation, but also to study. And in the next 15 minutes or so, I'll try to provide you this overall analytical framework that hopefully would entice some of you to study Turkish politics or Turkish political history, because studying Turkish politics, you may actually begin to learn a bit more about your own country's history, because both analytically and conceptually, I find these 2 countries to be rather similar. I say this because both Thailand and Turkey, throughout their history, at least throughout their last 2-century long history, have grappled with a particular question, and it's the same one. It's late development. Both of our countries, Turkey and Thailand, have been latecomers to this game of industrialization. The Industrial Revolution began in early 19th century in Western Europe, and then spread to other parts of the West, which is why to this day West or Western countries remain to be the most economically developed and the most advanced democracies around the globe, whereas in non-Western countries have been have really lagged behind this industrialization process. And that's why they have been latecomers to not only industrialization, but also a high level of economic development, also the formation of strong bureaucracies, and lastly, the development of nation states. Right? Our countries have really tried to accelerate this process, having already lagged it for such a long time. Now, late development, of course, provides all sorts of challenges and problems to our societies. Not least because of the fact that, of course, Western countries that have undergone industrial revolution in the 19th century went on to develop very strong armies, very strong economies that they used in order to colonize the rest of the world. Luckily, both of our countries, in the Turkish context, obviously this was Ottoman Empire. In the case of Thailand, this was Siam Empire. In their respective regions, both of these empires remained politically independent. Right? Siam was the only country in Southeast Asia to have remained politically independent. Maybe not militarily very strong, but politically independent, I underline, throughout the long 19th century. Not unlike Ottoman Empire, that have become the only non-Western state in its region. Right? Even the Persian Empire would come to be made it at different periods in 19th and 20th century. Right? Ottoman Empire would become the only country in that part of the world to remain politically independent. So both of our countries come from a historical tradition of having a proud culture because they have not been colonized, because they have managed to successfully resist against Western incursions, that they have managed to stand their ground while the neighboring countries, one by one, have come under colonial occupation and thus very strong Western influence. But of course, that political independence comes with a price, and that was rapid top-down modernization. In order to survive the onslaught of these Western colonial advances, both the Ottoman and the Siam empires, or the political elites in these two empires, went on to invest in their institutions from above and created Western-style bureaucracies and militaries, sometimes imposing those structures onto the rest of the society. Right? So these initiatives were taken by modernist-looking emperors from above, right? Rama IV, Rama V in this context, Mahmud II, as well as a long line of Ottoman emperors in the Ottoman context throughout the 19th century. The initiative did not come from the bottom. It wasn't necessarily sought by the society, but it was almost the political elites in both countries were almost compelled to take these actions so that their respective polities could remain independent. So that's why, starting from mid-19th century onwards, both of our countries would go on to develop almost a bifurcated society. In other words, on the one hand, you had modernizing, Western-looking elites, many of whose members have actually gone to Europe to study, to learn about modern methods, to learn about modern science, administrative skills, military tactics, and came back to their countries and have really tried to adopt almost everything that they learned abroad onto their what were then fairly traditional societies. And so the other half, and obviously the size was more than half of the society, the rest of the society remained, at least initially, fairly traditional. So for the last nearly 2 centuries, both of our societies have been going through this modernization process, and we are witnessing political earthquakes that are caused by the tectonic shifts of these changes. That's why I actually find both countries' political histories to be rather quite similar and to have progressed almost parallel to one another. Now, both Ottoman Empire and Siamese Empire were obviously agrarian-based patrimonial empires. In other words, these imperial regimes gained much of their revenue from agriculture and not so much from trade or industries, as we would see in Western colonial empires. And so, even though the political structure remained independent, starting from mid-19th century, both of our countries would go under strong economic domination of the Western world, because, as I mentioned earlier, neither of these places were industrialized, and so as soon as industrial goods began to make their way through our national markets, in both countries we would see almost a total domination of Western industrial products, and this would continue for nearly a century. In the Ottoman context, in 1838, the British Empire, or the British government, had forced the Ottoman government to sign a free trade agreement that would open up the Ottoman markets to British goods. Now, a very similar development, I think, happened in the Siamese case. I forgot the date, but it was either 1855 or 1856. Almost a carbon copy of that agreement that the Ottomans signed were imposed on the Siamese Empire. And so, starting from mid-19th century, even though the two empires remained fairly politically independent and had fairly autonomous bureaucracies and armies, their economies would go on to be dominated by the West. Again, creating an uneven development between the Western and the non-Western world. The solution that both empires came up with was that these modernizing elites, who were once as young cadets or bureaucrats went to Europe to study, would come back, take over their respective administrative positions, and pushed for top-down modernization. And there, I think, began the so-called King's Dilemma. In both countries, at some point, even the modernizing emperors were not enough to sustain this process of modernization. So in the case of Siam, obviously would come in 1932, the Siamese Revolution, where a small group of bureaucratic and military elites would go on to sideline the emperor, impose a constitution, and begin really modern Thai politics by promulgating a constitutional monarchy. In the Ottoman context, the very same thing would happen, but actually 2 decades earlier, in 1908 and 1909, the Ottoman emperor would be toppled. The autocratic Ottoman emperor would be toppled, and instead a new constitution was proclaimed, and there began the constitutional monarchy in the Ottoman context. Now, what followed in both cases was almost a power struggle between several different key actors in the society. Obviously, in Thailand, the king would remain as a very popular figure and a revered institution, and remain as a powerful political actor to this day. In the Ottoman context, there was some kind of a divergence. The Ottoman emperor collaborated with Western governments when Ottoman Empire was invaded after the end of World War I. So in 1922, unlike the Siamese context, the Ottoman Emperor would be toppled, but so with him would go the Ottoman monarchy. So starting from 1923, as Tanju already, Professor Tosun already mentioned, since 1923, Turkey has been a republic. And so that is one actor. The other actor is obviously the military. In both the Thai and Turkish politics, military would go on to remain fairly popular, but even more so than its popularity, would remain fairly active, participating to politics. In the Turkish context, since 1950, we've had 3 successful and 3 unsuccessful coup d'etats, as well as numerous military interventions that did not amount to an actual coup d'etat. The Thai military has been a bit more active than its Turkish counterparts, with I think 12 coups that I could count. Maybe there are a couple others that I missed. But obviously, the military in both countries have remained as another alternative, powerful actor. On certain occasions, continuing to modernize the society, on other contexts, on other situations, working as a rather conservative actor, balancing the political system in the absence of institutions. But of course, that leaves us with the third actor, and I think both of our countries are still trying to figure out a way to fully integrate this actor, and that's the masses. Both of our countries have obviously had numerous political upheavals, have gone through several democratic transitions which did not bear fruit, but nevertheless, compared to most other developing countries, I think both Thailand and Turkey has had for a long time unconsolidated democratic regimes. In other words, these countries had free elections and democratic structures, but the institutions themselves were not strong enough to get consolidated, which is why over the past century, for the last several decades, both Thai and Turkish politics have experienced almost a pendulum swing between the military, again with a rather modernizing attitude, but also every now and then conservative balancing acts on the one side, and then the masses that every decade or so would be mobilized by a populist politician who would go on to win elections, come to power, but unfortunately would not contribute to the establishment of a liberal democracy, would get corrupt, but not lose an election, creating all sorts of dilemmas. And that's the other side of the swing. I think in the year 2019, we are at different ends of that pendulum in our respective countries. Thailand is up here with the military back in action. We are up here with a populist, increasingly authoritarian government. And so the interesting times continue. But I guess what I'm trying to, the message that I'm trying to convey to you here is to go beyond personalities, even go beyond political parties, to actually see these challenges to be historical and structural, to have arisen from the fact that our countries were rather latecomers to the industrialization game, and they're still trying to catch up. Now, compared to early 20th century, when both of our countries had still fairly patrimonial imperial structures, we have advanced both in terms of our economy as well as in terms of our respective political systems. We're not there yet, but among the developing world, I think if you were to exclude for a moment the very miracle stories like Singapore, Taiwan, and Korea, Thailand and Turkey remain as rather one of the limited successful cases of moderate industrialization. And I can easily put countries like Brazil, Argentina, Mexico into this mix as well. These were relatively conservative, traditional, poor countries at the turn of the 20th century, but went on to create sizable middle classes, and with that, an industrial sector that was not as successful as we saw in cases like Japan and Korea, but I think those are exceptions rather than the general trend. And I can say a similar thing about the political system. I think compared to most other developing countries, the two countries, Turkey and Thailand, are not failed states, have actually produced strong nation states, have invested in their political institutions. These political institutions are here to stay. I think both of our countries have created among or out of disparate cultural, ethnic, and religious elements a strong national identity that is very easily demonstrable. And my hope is that in the 21st century, with this moderate level of success in the economic arena, with a higher level of success in the political arena, both Turkey and Thailand would go on to join the advanced world. Now, I think what we are doing here hopefully could be a part of that, in the sense that, of course, a century ago, as I mentioned to you, the modernizing elites, their only option was to go to West and study in places like France or Germany or Britain. Later, US would join the pack, but those were your only options. But of course, in the 21st century, we have so many very good universities located elsewhere in the developing world that are actually a lot similar to your own country's national traditions and customs. So that's why I think what we should see increasingly in the coming decades is improvement of ties within the global south among developing countries, both in terms of economic relations and foreign relations, but also in the educational arena as well. So hopefully, at least our delegation could be part of that third goal, which is to cultivate better ties among Thai and Turkish universities to help draw some Thai students to Turkey so that they can learn from our experience, that they can study whatever they want to study from our perspective, and vice versa. So that hopefully you will have more and more Turkish students who would come here to study, to do research, to spend time. I think we are at that critical point in our history where, as Professor Baj mentioned, we're looking at a multipolar world where US is no longer as powerful as it used to be. There will be several different centers of power. One of which obviously is China. The other is very clearly US. EU and Russia will also have a piece of the pie. Now, the developing world is not yet strong enough to put up a fight against these four superpowers, and neither should they. But I think collectively, middle powers such as Turkey and Thailand have something to offer to the international community, both in an economic and political sense, but also culturally and in the educational arena. So I would like to, as I wrap up, I'd like to really encourage you to study Turkish politics. I mean, I hope at least several of you who are now listening to us are here because you are interested in Turkish politics and its history. So please go to the Turkish Studies Center, take some classes there, maybe take a language class, and apply to scholarships that are actually fairly ample. Both the Thai and Turkish governments have signed cultural agreements which provide scholarships to both Turkish and Thai students. So take those opportunities, and hopefully we'll see you in other contexts. Thank you.
Thank you very much for a very grateful presentation and speech. ก็นะคะเป็นอีกหนึ่งการพูดที่ให้รายละเอียดได้ดีมากเลยนะคะก็คือเป็นการเปรียบเทียบนะคะระหว่างประเทศไทยกับประเทศตุรกีซึ่งอาจารย์เบิร์กเนี่ยนะคะแกก็มองว่าจริงๆแล้วประเทศไทยกับตุรกีเนี่ยมีอะไรที่มันคล้ายคลึงกันมากนะคะอาจารย์ได้สรุปสั้นๆนะคะประมาณ6ประเด็นนะคะประเด็นแรกก็คือจริงๆแล้วไทยกับตุรกีเนี่ยมีการพัฒนาที่ช้า กว่าประเทศอื่นๆคือประเทศในแถบตะวันตกเนี่ยเหมือนกันนะคะเพราะว่าเราไม่ใช่ประเทศที่เป็นประเทศในตะวันตกเนาะนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นในเรื่องของการทำให้เป็น industrialization คือกระบวนการที่ทำให้ประเทศเนี่ยเป็นอุตสาหกรรมหรือการพัฒนาประเทศที่เป็นเรื่องของสมัยใหม่เนี่ยนะคะก็จะช้านะคะกว่าประเทศในตะวันตกนะคะนอกจากนั้นนะคะแกก็ให้ข้อที่น่าสังเกตนะคะข้อสังเกตว่านะคะจริงๆแล้วออตโตมันนะคะกับสยามเนี่ยนะคะมีสิ่งที่น่าสนใจก็คือเป็นมีความเป็นอิสระในแง่ของการเมืองนะคะเหมือนกันทั้งสองก็พูดง่ายๆคือไม่เคยตกเป็นเหมือนขึ้นใครเนี่ยนะคะทั้งสองนะคะไม่ว่าจะเป็นออตโตมันหรือสยามก็ตามนะคะทีนี้นะคะประเด็นที่3เนี่ยนะคะที่แกมองเห็นว่าน่าสนใจก็คือนะคะด้วยความที่เราเนี่ยพัฒนาช้าไม่ได้บอกพัฒนาช้าพัฒนาช้านั่นแหละนะคะก็ต้องพูดกันไปตรงๆเนี่ยนะคะทำให้กระบวนการของการทำให้ประเทศกลายเป็นเรื่องของโมเดิร์นหรือกลายเป็นประเทศที่มันเป็นประเทศสมัยใหม่เนี่ยนะคะมันก็จะเป็นลักษณะแบบเร่งรีบนะคะแล้วก็มีลักษณะแบบจากข้างบนคือจากคนที่เป็นกลุ่มผู้ชนชั้นปกครองเนี่ยนะคะมาสู่พื้นที่อื่นๆนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยกระบวนการของการพัฒนาหรือการทำให้เป็นสมัยใหม่เนี่ยมันก็จะมีลักษณะเป็นจากข้างบนสู่ข้างล่างนะคะนอกจากนั้นนะคะก็จะทำให้เห็นว่านะคะทั้งสองประเทศเนี่ยนะคะมีการเน้นนะคะในเรื่องของการพัฒนาในเศรษฐกิจเนี่ยนะคะมีการเหมือนกับมีความพยายามในการเน้นในเรื่องของการพัฒนาเศรษฐกิจเนี่ยไปพร้อมๆกันนะคะแต่เราก็ไม่ได้พูดถึงผลเนาะว่าตอนนี้เป็นยังไงแต่ว่าถ้าพูดถึงในเรื่องของในเชิงประวัติศาสตร์เนี่ยนะคะก็ได้เริ่มพร้อมๆกันนะคะแล้วอีกอันนึงที่น่าสนใจก็คือว่าทั้งไทยและตุรกีเนี่ยนะคะมีการปฏิวัติเหมือนกันนะคะปฏิวัติโดยประชาชนนะคะโดยที่ออตโตมันเนี่ยอาจจะก่อนนะคะไทยเนี่ยอาจจะตามมาหลังจากนั้น2 ทศวรรษนะคะก็เป็นการปฏิวัติตัวสุดท้ายแล้วก็ได้เป็นรัฐธรรมนูญของประเทศขึ้นมานะคะและประเด็นสุดท้ายที่น่าสนใจมากนะคะแกก็ได้พูดเปรียบเทียบถึงแอคเตอร์หรือตัวแสดงต่างๆนะคะภายใต้สังคมไทยแล้วก็ภายใต้สังคมตุรกีเนี่ยนะคะที่มันมีความคล้ายคลึงหรือความไม่คล้ายคลึงกันอยู่นะคะไม่ว่าจะเป็นเรื่องของระบบของกษัตริย์นะคะที่ตุรกีเองก็เคยมีนะคะแต่ของไทยเราก็ยังสามารถรักษาไว้ได้อยู่นะคะแต่ว่าของตุรกีหรือของออตโตมันเอ็มไพร์เนี่ยก็ไม่สามารถรักษาไว้ได้นะคะในเรื่องของทหารนะคะที่ตุรกีเองเนี่ยก็มีการรัฐประหารอยู่หลายครั้งนะคะในอดีตเนี่ยนะคะครั้งที่สำเร็จล่าสุดก็คือปี 1982 นะคะแต่ล่าสุดที่มีข่าวก็คือปี 2016 แต่ครั้งนั้นก็ไม่ได้สำเร็จนะคะในขณะที่ไทยเองเขาก็บอกว่ามีประมาณ 12 ครั้งนะคะก็ไม่ได้เยอะมากเนาะนะคะ12 ครั้งต่อมานะคะอีกประเด็นหนึ่งที่น่าสนใจก็คือแกได้ยกถึงตัวละครที่น่าสนใจอีก1ตัวละครก็คือพรรคการเมืองหรือนักการเมืองที่ใช้นโยบายในเรื่องของประชานิยมนะคะซึ่งของไทยตอนนี้ก็อาจจะไม่ได้อยู่นะคะแต่ว่าของตุรกีเองก็ยังคงอยู่นะคะแล้วก็ยังคงอยู่ในอำนาจอยู่จนถึงกระทั่งตอนนี้นะคะอันนี้เองก็เป็นภาพกว้างๆนะคะที่แกได้ให้ในการ compare หรือว่าเปรียบเทียบไว้นะคะระหว่างประเทศตุรกีกับประเทศไทยนะคะแต่ว่าแกได้ encourage เนาะได้บอกว่าถ้ามีนักศึกษาคนไหนสนใจเนี่ยนะคะในการเรียนกับประเทศตุรกีเนี่ยนะคะก็สามารถมาเรียนภาษาตุรกีกับศูนย์นะคะศึกษาตุรกีได้นะคะแล้วก็สามารถที่จะมาเรียนรู้เกี่ยวกับเรื่องตุรกีเพิ่มเติมนะคะได้แล้วก็แกอยากจะนะคะเชิญชวนให้ใครที่สนใจเนี่ยสมัครทุนการศึกษาของรัฐบาลตุรกีนะคะเพื่อไปเรียนรู้เพิ่มเติมเกี่ยวกับประเทศตุรกีเนี่ยนะคะที่ตุรกีเลยโดยตรงนะคะต่อไปนะคะก็จะมีอีก2ท่านสุดท้ายนะคะท่านหนึ่งก็จะพูดถึงเรื่องเกี่ยวกับเศรษฐกิจนะคะขณะที่อีกท่านหนึ่งก็จะพูดถึงเรื่องของสื่อแล้วก็กลุ่มภาคประชาสังคมในตุรกีนะคะซึ่ง we have 15 minutes for each of you because we have quite limited of time so okay Miss Gülsüm Akbulut please welcome
Just before I start, may I ask you how many of you know economics? Do you have economics background? True. And how many of you know English and Turkish? Just
มีใครที่รู้เรื่องเกี่ยวกับมีฐานในเรื่องของเศรษฐกิจมาบ้างคะเรียนเรื่องเศรษฐกิจ
no economics. English?
มีใครที่เข้าใจภาษาอังกฤษบ้างคะ
Do you know English?
มีใครเข้าใจภาษาอังกฤษบ้างยกมือหน่อยเร็วย
กมือหน่อยยกมือ
ยกมือหน่อย
Okay. And how many of you have taken any type of Turkish courses related to Turkey?
มีใครที่เคยเรียนอะไรที่เกี่ยวกับตุรกีบ้างมาบ้างคะเคยพูดภาษาตุรกีหรือมีอะไรที่เกี่ยวข้องกับตุรกีมาก่อนยกมือเลยค่ะยกมือเลยค่ะ
Okay, you have some knowledge about Turkey. Oh, good. Then you know Turkish.
Oh yes.
Good. So I hope what I discuss here you understand, because later when you translate, I don't know how effective it is, but let me start and I will try to explain some of the terminology here because I want you to have some idea what I am talking about. So I came here to explain to you Turkey in the world. What is the world and how Turkey is treated in the world. So, and then what is the relationship between Thailand and Turkey, and how can we develop our relations and our new initiative related to Asia, and I have some messages. So I have to start with the population. Turkey ranked 17th country. If we consider around 195 countries in the world, we rank at the 17th level. It means we are at the top 20. Our size, population is 82 million. And what happened, I think most of the countries haven't that experience before. We had 4 million refugees in the last 5-6 years. And you know your population increased 5%. This means different for Turkey. Turkey then became the first in the rankings of refugees. Turkey has the number of refugees comes at the first, and the aid or assistance provided to those refugees, again, Turkey comes at the first in the ranking of all the countries, including the developed, aid-friendly, rich countries. We passed in our spending to these people, and Turkey became the first country. So this is a fact, and we are living with this, and it means the conflict in Syria, if it continues, we may host other Syrian people. Purchasing power parity, I have to explain it because in the purchasing power parity terms, Turkey is 1.7, coming in 1.7. I mean, there are lots of rich countries, and if they produce a bundle of goods, we produce only 1.7. Not only, but it is 1.7%. What is the purchasing power parity? maybe you should know it. It is a very good concept. If you have $10 and you spend in Thailand, you buy a bundle of goods with $10. But when you go to Luxembourg, the bundle of goods with $10 is very different than the bundle of goods that you buy in Thailand. So it means maybe in Luxembourg people need $500 or $50 in order to buy the same bundle of goods. So this is a general and we economists use this concept frequently. So in this purchasing power parity terms, Turkey comes 13th biggest country in terms of 2018 figures. The biggest countries in the world, again this term, China, United States, India, Japan, and if we consider gross domestic product, it means goods and services sold in 1 year in one country. The volume means price and quantity of goods and services sold in 1 year. So when we look at this picture, Thailand comes 19th in this case. It means Thailand is also becoming one of the among the top 20 countries. But of course, don't forget this is in purchasing power parity term. So I don't want to, go into deep because these are technical. Maybe we can say that we produce industrial product, agriculture and services, and this distribution are similar to Thailand's distribution. But when I look at the Thailand share of industry is bigger than Turkey, and agriculture is also bigger. And our services sector is more developed with respect to Thailand. Let me skip also this, and we trade, we export, we sell our goods and services to other countries, and we import. And this is also very important indicator for a country to become integrated into the world. So this is another indicator that how big, how integrated this country. So you are producing and selling your goods and services to where? Generally, we sell the very closest markets. The closest market is the Europe in Turkey, for Turkey. And Thailand sell to Asia, Asian countries, China. So Turkey, 40% of our product goes to Europe, and we import from Russia, China. Of course, when we look at most of the countries' import figures, we see China coming at the top because China is selling all over the world. So we also buy. Why? Because it is cheap and it is widened. So we generally sell motor vehicles, textiles, ready-wear, and we buy basic metals, chemicals. Of course, we buy petroleum products. And so Turkey is is an economy liberalized. It is a market structure since 1980s, and the system let private sector function almost freely, let us say. So since 1980s, government reduced its size and private sector increased their production structure. And this created a developed entrepreneurship culture. And therefore, it also created growth potential, increased productivity level, and the working market system it created. This is the map of Turkey. This map indicates that Turkey is very close to the 1.6 billion people living in the area that you can reach via 4-hour flight. And 24 trillion GDP, and this area produced 24 trillion GDP. It means Turkey is close to big market. And this, although we have some conflict in Middle East and North Africa, or in some area in Caucasus and we have still thinking that in the near future, when this conflict will be over, we will have great potential in this market in the North Africa and Middle East. You may have heard about Chinese Belt and Road Initiative, and we also give great importance to this initiative, and we think that it will connect East and West, and it will create a significant it will change the many dynamics or existing dynamics. So when this project finished, I think we will see the interconnection between Turkey or East and West will be improved. So Turkey is also an energy hub. 70% of world's proven primary energy reserves are located in this area. And Turkey connects East and West in the energy transfer. And in energy sector is a very also dynamic sector, and new discoveries have been we have heard lots of new discoveries, especially in the Eastern Mediterranean area. And these discoveries also created another importance created for Turkey, since this natural gas could transfer from Mediterranean area to the Europe and other region. So what we have done, we have improved our infrastructure, and we invest a lot in our infrastructure sector, and it created a great potential for the further growth of Turkey. And we have young population. EU has a problem of aging problem, and in OECD countries, compared to OECD countries, we have almost 3 times more working population, it means that we have a dynamic market structure. In terms of per capita GDP, I tried to compare Turkey and Thailand, and as you can see, Thailand is also showing a steady progress, and Thailand is like Turkey, as my friend explained, has similar structure in the growth process. So, what can we do in order to be a high income level country? These are the main policies that we have to fulfill for every country. I mean, not only for Turkey, for Thailand. We have to improve our infrastructure, our investment, physical capital. We have to improve our human capital, and we have to improve our research and development and innovation. These are the three most important policies that countries should fulfill in order to reach a high income level structure. So we published our 11th development plan. We generally plan what we will do in 5 years, 10 years term. This is and according to this plan, we set our policies, how we will develop our economy. So our policies are will be based on, as you can see, mostly research and development, innovation, human resources. I mean, we will invest on human resources. We depend on energy. We have to import energy, so we focus on increasing our energy resources. And institutional capacity is another important area that we will focus on, and digital transformation and business investment area. So I will not go into detail in this part, because our relationship between Thailand and Turkey in economic terms is not so significant. We have to develop it. I mean, it is very. This is the area that we can develop, and in various ways. I think with this cooperation, we will continue, and we can reach a good progress. So. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. ต้องขอบคุณนะคะก็สรุปสั้นๆเนาะว่าจริงๆเศรษฐกิจของตุรกีนะคะตอนนี้ก็ถือว่าอยู่ที่อันดับที่17ของโลกนะคะแล้วก็ประชากรตุรกีตอนนี้มี82ล้านคนนะคะแต่ว่ามีคนที่เป็นผู้ลี้ภัยเนี่ยประมาณ4ล้านคนเพิ่มเข้ามาด้วยนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นตุรกีถือว่าเป็นประเทศที่ได้รับผู้ลี้ภัยมากที่สุดในโลกนะคะแต่ด้วยทั้งหมดทั้งมวลนี้เนี่ยนะคะตุรกีเองก็ยังคงเป็นหนึ่งในตัวละครสำคัญของโลกนะคะในเรื่องของการเป็นหนึ่งประเทศที่มีการพัฒนาเศรษฐกิจที่รวดเร็วนะคะตุรกีเนี่ยได้มีบทบาทต่อประเด็นเรื่องของเส้นทางสายไหมนะคะตุรกีถือว่าเป็นพื้นที่นะคะศูนย์กลางในเรื่องของพลังงานนะคะในเรื่องของการเคลื่อนย้ายพลังงานไประหว่างตะวันตกกับตะวันออกนะคะตุรกีมีการพัฒนาโครงสร้างพื้นฐานการสร้างถนนการก่อสร้างต่างๆมากมายเนี่ยนะคะเยอะมากนะคะแล้วก็ที่สำคัญเนี่ยนะคะตุรกีมีเยาวชนนะคะที่เป็นประชากรที่ไม่ได้อายุเยอะนะคะไม่ใช่เป็นสังคมสูงวัยเหมือนใน EU นะคะไม่ได้เป็นสังคมสูงวัยเหมือนในประเทศไทยนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยถือว่าการที่ไม่ได้เป็นสังคมสูงวัยเนี่ยนะคะก็จะทำให้มีศักยภาพของการที่มีแรงงานในการพัฒนาประเทศต่อได้นะคะเพราะฉะนั้นทั้งหมดทั้งมวลเนี่ยตุรกีถือว่าเป็นหนึ่งในประเทศที่เป็นประเทศที่มีเศรษฐกิจที่พัฒนาระดับสูงนะคะแล้วก็ถือว่าเป็นประเทศที่มีรายได้เข้ามาระดับสูงนะคะนี่ก็เป็นการสรุปคร่าวๆนะจริงๆก็มีรายละเอียดเยอะแยะแต่ด้วยเวลานะคะก็ May I give you our last speakers Can you please like for 10 minutes or something? Sorry, I'm very sorry, but because we have really limited of time, I think lots of our students come from another like district, so that's why yes, please.
Me one TV. I'm sorry for pronunciation. Good afternoon, everyone. I know I have a big trouble because of my last speaker, but I have a good news for you. My presentation is it will be very short, brief about in Turkish media landscape. First of all, I want to thank Transylvania University and Thai Royal Embassy to invitation us. Thank you. Until late 18th, Turkish media consisted of a handful of publishing companies, newspapers, magazines, and public broadcast TRT for television and radio. When in the 18th, the country went through an economic transformation adopting free market economics in a shape from the protectionist paradigm to free market economy. Today, Turkey, as a democratic society, has around 3,100 newspapers, including 180 national ones. Only 15% these are daily newspapers. Turkish print outlets privilege columns and opinion over pure news and are often politically polarized. By circulation on the most popular daily newspapers are Hürriyet, Sabah, Posta, and Sözcü. The broadcast media have a very high penetration in Turkey, as satellite dishes and cable system are widely available. The Radio and Television Supreme Court is the government body overseeing the broadcast media. Radio also enjoys a large number of listeners in the Turkey. There are more than 1,000 radio stations in the country. In 23, a total of 257 television stations and 1,100 radio stations were licensed to operate, and others operated without licenses. Of those licensed 15 television and 36 radio stations reached national audiences. In 23, some 22 million televisions and 11 million radios were in service. Aside from Turkish, the state television TRT network offers some programs in Arabic, Circassian, Kurdish, and Zaza. Also Turkish entertainment and media sector to reach $11.6 billion. Turkey's internet access market will boom over the next 5 years with revenues increasing dramatically 12.7 billion to $7.9 billion. Beyond mainstream media, there are a number of smaller digital-born brands that continue to operate freely, providing alternative perspectives. These include Oda TV, T24, Diken, Duvar, Biyanet, Medyascope TV. Another Ahval News, which is funded by Al Arab Publishing, Journal, and Artu TV, and other foreign channels, internet channels. However, they have not yet established sustainable models and cannot afford to employ full-time experienced reporters for investigative journalism. They are mostly accessed by the educated people in the big cities, and they try to reach other audiences through social media, particularly Facebook, which is the most popular platform in the country. I know that China Radio International, CRA, Turk FM, also is a important internet media channel. Media agency in Turkey. The main news agencies in Turkey are Anatolian News Agency, Anadolu Ajansı, Doğan News Agency, İhlas News Agency, Agency Habertürk, News Agency Habertürk, and Anka. They often have access to expensive technical facilities thanks to being embedded in big media space. Anatolian News Agency, Anadolu Ajansı, was founded by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk in 1920 during Turkey's independence war, and remains the official state subsidized news agency. It has 28 offices in Turkey and 22 abroad, providing 800 news items and 200 photos in daily. Anka was founded in 1972 as an independent news agency. It provides a daily economic bulletin in Turkish, in a weekly, one in English. Also, foreign news agencies operate freely in Turkey. Last decades, as you know, social media rise. The level of internet penetration in Turkey is around 70%, placing it outside the world's 50 most connected nations. According to a 2014 Gallup poll, about 7 out of 10 adults say they have a working computer at home. In addition, Turkey is one of the more socially engaged nations in the world. Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn also are most popular in Turkey as well as in the world. LinkedIn has the fastest growing user base in Turkey, and penetration for LinkedIn at least is at 24%. Is very high for Turkey. In 2017, We Are Social reported that Turkish internet users spent an average of 1 hour and 29 minutes on social networks on average per day. This made Turkey the ninth most social engaged nation in the world. It has been reported that Turkish citizens are turning to social media channels in place of traditional media, which some feel is under more government control. Turkey is also the second largest internet advertising market in the Central and Eastern Europe. According to the reports in 2012, online advertising spending was $601 million. In this meeting series in Thailand, we talked about the importance on the connectivity of two countries. Mediated connectivity is important as economic connectivity, I think. As we know, media and civil society organizations have social, economic, and cultural functions. In this perspective, media and NGOs can serve to establish a mutual understanding Turkey and Thailand societies. According to the Deloitte report, world's colorful TV screen sector in Turkey, TV serials industry since the early 20s, and the increase in production, consumption, and export as a response to development. Today, Turkish TV serials are sold to many countries. Cultural ties can be developed through these TV serials. Thank you for your contribution, and thank you for your attendance.
Thank you very much. It's very briefly but very informative. Okay. อาจารย์ก็ได้ให้นะคะภาพว่าถึงเรื่องของสื่อนะคะในตุรกีนะคะว่ามีสื่ออะไรบ้างนะคะสิ่งที่น่าสนใจก็คือตุรกีเนี่ยมีหนังสือพิมพ์กว่า 3,000 เล่มนะคะ 3,000 ฉบับนะคะไม่ได้หมายความว่า 3,000 เล่มเท่านั้นนะคะหมายถึงว่า 3,000เหมือนกับบริษัทหรือคนที่เป็นทำหนังสือพิมพ์เนี่ยนะคะหรือสื่อเนี่ยนะคะขึ้นมากว่า 3,000 แห่งนะคะนอกจากนั้นนะคะก็ยังมีสถานีวิทยุเนี่ยนะคะที่ออกอากาศเนี่ยกว่า 1,000 กว่าช่องนะคะมันมีที่จดทะเบียนบ้างไม่จดทะเบียนบ้างนะคะซึ่งในกระบวนการเหล่านี้เนี่ยอาจารย์ก็บอกว่านะคะอีกหนึ่งสิ่งที่คิดว่าคล้ายๆกับประเทศไทยก็คือว่าคนตุรกีใช้โซเชียลมีเดียเยอะนะคะซึ่งอันนี้อาจจะเป็นอีก point หนึ่งที่สำคัญที่ทำให้นะคะความสัมพันธ์ระหว่างไทยกับตุรกีพัฒนาไปได้ก็เป็นได้นะคะตุรกีกับไทยก็แข่งกันนะคะว่าใครจะเป็นที่หนึ่งเนาะในเรื่องของการใช้โซเชียลมีเดียนะคะทีนี้นะคะอาจารย์ก็สรุปด้วยว่าเขาเข้าจริงนะคะจริงๆในเรื่องของการเชื่อมโยงความสัมพันธ์ระหว่างไทยกับตุรกีเนี่ยในเรื่องของการเชื่อมโยงผ่านสื่อนะคะโดยเฉพาะโซเชียลมีเดียต่างๆก็เป็นเรื่องที่สำคัญเช่นเดียวกันนะคะก็เป็นการสรุปสั้นๆมากๆนะคะในเรื่องรายละเอียดนะคะก็ตามไปดูย้อนหลังในไลฟ์ได้นะคะเรามีไลฟ์ผ่านเพจของคณะรัฐศาสตร์นะคะ so I have to say thank you for your all again. Unfortunately, I think we don't have much time for questions. Or anybody have any questions? มีคำถามไหมคะ Maybe just one question. No? No, okay. So, yes, because of our limited time. Okay, so thank you very much for all of you again, and thank you very much for our listener. So, yes.
It's a valuable information. I hope your comment very exactly what the audience expected to hear. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to our speakers.
And now, may I invite Dr. Hafiz Saleh, Associate Dean for Academic and International Affairs, to present a token of appreciation to our speakers. I invite Dr. Hafiz Saleh to deliver and closing. Sorry. I invite Dr. Hafiz Saleh to deliver and closing remarks. Please welcome.
Actually, we have closed the session already, but due to the time constraint, I wouldn't say anything long, except just say thank you for coming and giving us a very wonderful, fruitful, and comprehensive picture of Turkey. Today we have learned different angles of Turkey, from politics, economics, cultures, and social dimensions. So I think this will be one of the encouraging points for our students, staff, and all participants here to learn more about Turkey. ก็คาดหวังนะครับว่าการจัดงานเสวนาในวันนี้นะครับจะให้ความรู้กับพวกเรานะอย่างน้อยเนี่ยเราได้รับมุมมองเกี่ยวกับประเทศตุรกีหลายด้านนะครับไม่ว่าจะเป็นการเมืองความสัมพันธ์ระหว่างประเทศประวัติศาสตร์สังคมรวมทั้งวัฒนธรรมนะครับซึ่งส่วนหนึ่งก็คือในบทบาทของศูนย์ศึกษาตุรกีเนี่ยเราก็หวังว่าจะมีการพัฒนาในเรื่องขององค์ความรู้หรือว่าโอกาสต่างๆแล้วก็บทบาทในการที่จะสร้างความเชื่อมโยงระหว่างตุรกีกับประเทศไทยแล้วก็การสร้างประโยชน์ให้กับพื้นที่จังหวัดชายแดนภาคใต้แห่งนี้นะครับผ่านองค์ความรู้แล้วก็การสนับสนุนวันนี้เราได้รับการสนับสนุนอย่างดีเยี่ยมนะครับจากทางสถานทูตไทยประจำกรุงอังการานะครับท่านอัครราชทูตที่ปรึกษานะครับคุณชาครีนรทิพย์เสวิกุลครับต้องขอให้พวกเราปรบมือให้กับก็คงไม่มีอะไรที่จะปิดนอกจากกล่าวคำว่าขอบคุณนะครับขอบคุณแล้วก็ขอบคุณที่ตั้งใจฟังแล้วก็อยู่จนถึงจบงานในวันนี้ครับขอบคุณครับ
Thank you for your participation and attention. I hope that the seminar today has offered knowledge, insight, information which can be applied into practical use. And we have to say thank you very much for all of our distinguished speakers who gave us a wonderful and great talk about Turkey. We are looking forward to welcome you all here again for our future cooperation. Last but not least, we have to say thank you for the Embassy of Thailand in Ankara, Turkey, for giving us an opportunity to organize this seminar. Without you, the seminar couldn't be happened. Thank you very much.
May I invite our speakers and distinguished guests have a photo together, please?
ถือได้
เดี๋ยวอีกรอบหนึ่งนะครับ
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Lên cấp, lên cấp. Mặt, ông có thể. Come on, join us.
Merak etme. Hayır, bir de şey, Duydum.
มีโซฟาไหมเห็นไหมโซฟาไม่ได้ได้ใช่ไหมโอเคได้นะคะอะไรนะ
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.